It's the game. So it's Michigan week if you're an Ohio State football fan. And I'm here to tell you, if you love college football, regardless of your team, I hate to break the news to you. This is the greatest rivalry, not just in college football, but in sports. I'm declaring it. It's been declared many times previously. We bring in Claire Crawford from theozone.net. You got to join her right there with her co-host, Joe Dexter. Her podcast, Oh, Hail No, is made just for this week in this game. Claire, how you doing?
I'm tingling. My Buckeye senses are tingling all over. I look forward to this week all year long. I cannot wait. I'm fully entrenched in all of the tradition, the pageantry, the pomp and circumstance. It's like Buckeye Christmas is Michigan week for me, and I don't want it to go too fast, but I also cannot wait for it to be here.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a quandary because you got to savor and soak in all the memories and in all the pomp and circumstance throughout the week. But at the same time, it's all about the game. And the game is on Saturday at Ann Arbor, noon Eastern time, as it typically is. I have people asking me this each and every year. What time's the game? And before they ask me that, I kind of think of them as being either a Ohio State or a Michigan fan. And then I think once they ask me that, they're really not a fan.
Disqualified.
Disqualified. So here's the deal. They play at noon every year. The only time there's been an exception was 2006. They played at 3:30 Eastern time in Columbus. That was the number 1 versus number 2 game. Other than that, it's always been at noon. Maybe not in 1932, but it's always been at noon during our lifetimes.
Not only that, the game hasn't even been moved. This has been the last season, or the last regular season game since the only time this slot has been moved was to observe the death of John F. Kennedy. That is the only time that was moved from I'm going to say the 22nd to the 29th. So it's always here. You're right. When I talk to someone and they say, "What time is the game?" I have to admit, I disqualify you. You get your card pulled.
It's a little disturbing. It's a little disturbing. And I know a number of Ohio State and Michigan fans, and they still ask me, and I've already been asked this week, what time's the game?
The same time it always is.
It's always the same time. All right. This Michigan team's 5-3 in the Big Ten. They are 8-3 overall. They're not a great football team. They're stout on defense. They're very limited on offense. Ohio State comes in, and we've seen the Jekyll and Hyde play, the Penn State fourth quarter and the Michigan State route. We can't really categorize last week's game. That was almost a scrimmage. That was almost to be pitied on the Illinois front. But Ohio State comes in at 9-2. They've wrapped up the Big Ten Eastern Division, but of course, this game still matters for much more than a college football playoff or a Big Ten championship or anything like that. It's a rivalry game. So fill in the blank, other college football fans out there, Alabama, Auburn, Florida State on down the line. This is the game for that particular rivalry. And then on top of that, this is the game. So do you have any Michigan game memories to pass along?
I actually do. So I was extremely lucky, and I was able to, I was there for 1 versus 2 in 2006. It's something that I'll never forget. And what I will never forget is the sound the stadium makes. One of my greatest memories of all time was last year. I was lucky enough to work on a project, and I was a production assistant and was able to be on the field the entire time. So it was a view that I'd never had of this game, and I had a brand new appreciation for just the size of the game. And I mean the size of the players, the size of the field, the speed of the game. Even just watching it from a few feet up in the stands does not accurately portray how fast. It's like the commercial, like life comes at you fast. I can't imagine volunteering to be in front of one of those guys going full speed on special teams kickoff. Like it blew my mind. And I think probably one more moment, kind of like a rough patch. My dad and I got to watch a game together. He and I were sitting in the service department of a car dealership, and it had all but closed down. The lights were off. We were the only ones left. It was this tiny little TV. He and I are waiting to see whether Brady Hoke's Michigan team is going to convert their 2-point conversion, and they didn't. I think we knocked a few ceiling tiles off, jumping for joy after that. But those are definitely top 3.
You were stuck in a service department in 2013.
I sure was.
42-41. Michigan was pretty marginal. Devin Gardner at quarterback, but he played the game of his senior season, but maybe the game of his life. Had like 450 yards of total offense, something crazy like that. And Michigan hung with Ohio State, who was playing to get to the Big Ten championship game. They were undefeated and lost to Michigan State in the Big Ten title game 2013. Yes. Tyvis Powell, if I remember correctly, intercepted a pass in the end zone to stop the 2-point play against Michigan.